When I, 28-year-old female, was 19, I got pregnant from a one-night stand. The father, Aiden, wanted to be around and was supportive from the start. We never got together, but we became very close friends. Unfortunately, when I was 8 months pregnant, Aiden died in a car accident. It devastated me, as well as his family. To this day, it haunts me that he was never able to meet our son, Brady. Aiden's family has been heavily involved in Brady's life since the beginning. Birthday parties, celebrations, etc. They always made me feel welcome. I started dating again when Brady was 2, and his parents, Michelle and Dan, actually encouraged me too. They said I deserved to be happy. They even watched Brady occasionally so I could go on dates. Brady has always been told about his dad. When Brady was 4, I met Justin, now 31 years old. It took 6 months for him to meet Brady, and from the start, they bonded quickly. A couple of months later, Justin met Aiden's family. They loved him. I was always clear with Justin that their family would always be in our lives, especially for Brady's benefit. He agreed it was the best. I married Justin 2 years later. Brady began calling him Papa on his own. He still talked about Aiden and called him Daddy. I kept all pictures of Aiden up. Brady proudly said he had 2 dads. Michelle and Dan seemed fine. A year later, Justin brought up adopting Brady, and I agreed. That's when Dan and Michelle began to show their displeasure. I explained that we would never stop Brady from seeing them. We would always talk about Aiden, show pictures, etc. We also planned on hyphenating their last name with Justin's. Dan and Michelle argued with me. I tried to keep things calm for Brady's sake, but then Michelle and Dan tried to stop the adoption. It didn't work, and the adoption went through. But because of their contesting, it took longer and only went through last year. It also added extra court fees. Dan and Michelle have since accepted things, though I still won't leave them alone with Brady in case they try to trash Justin again. Justin is fine with them coming around for Brady and is cordial, but definitely keeps a wall up. He's not overly friendly like he once was. He'll smile, hype them up for Brady, but that's it. He says he's upset with what they put all of us through, especially the emotional toll it put on me. Dan and Michelle came by Christmas Eve to see Brady. Justin was once again polite, but didn't say much. A few days later, Michelle told me she's hurt. Justin stopped making an effort. I told her she can't expect him to be the same after all they did and said in court. She said they apologized and he accepted it. I said yes, but actions have consequences and they need to accept it. Dan told me that I was insensitive not to take Michelle's side after all they've done. Their daughter, Brady's aunt, tells me Justin and I are in the right. I don't know what to think and feel stretched between everyone. Am I the jerk? Edit. Some have asked what was said in court. They said he would be an unfit father, despite him having a job and a loving relationship with Brady. They also said that Justin was just after Brady's trust fund. For some context, Aiden was ended the life of in a drunk driving accident. I took the driver to court and sued them for the damages of me having to be a single parent due to their negligence. All the money was put into a trust for Brady that he can't touch until he's 25. The overseer is also Aiden's sister, so it's not like she'd ever agree to sign it over to Justin. Justin has never shown interest and has money of his own. The judge threw it out for those reasons. They called Justin a variety of names in court and tried to demean his character, calling him a child stealer, etc. This came after years of claiming they loved him and thought he was perfect for me, which Aiden's sister testified in court. They later admitted to me that they made all this up to try to stop the adoption, and they never believed it. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Dan told me that I was insensitive to not take Michelle's side after all they've done. What? After he and Michelle went to great lengths to disrupt your family, he thinks you should appreciate that. I'm really sorry for them that their son passed away, and I'm glad that they have a grandchild. But the way to be a positive part in that child's life is not to try and disrupt his home family life, which is clearly doing a lot of good things for him, not the idiot. Comment 2. A few days later, Michelle told me she's hurt. Justin has stopped making an effort. I told her she can't expect him to be the same after all they did and said in court. She said they apologized and he accepted it. I said yes, but actions have consequences, and they need to accept it. Not the idiot. Some wounds don't heal. They should have thought about that. Now for the update. Hey everyone, a lot has happened since my last post, and I've got quite the update for you all. So, after the whole adoption drama with Michelle and Dan, things seemed to settle down a bit. Or so I thought. Turns out, the calm was just the eye of the storm. 2 weeks ago, I found out that Michelle had been secretly trying to convince Brady that Justin wasn't his real family. She'd been slipping comments during their visits, like how no one could ever replace his daddy Aiden. It broke my heart to hear that. Brady, being the sweet kid he is, didn't understand why his grandma was saying these things, and it confused him a lot. Now, let me take you back a bit. When Aiden was alive, he had a special bond with his sister, who's now the overseer of Brady's trust fund. She's always been level-headed and fair, which is why she stood by Justin in court. But Michelle and Dan, they've always been a bit more, let's say, protective over Aiden's memory. I get it. Losing a child is unimaginable, but their actions lately have been crossing the line. Justin, bless him, has been nothing but supportive through all of this. He's been the rock for Brady and me, even when things got ugly. But after this latest stunt, I could see the hurt in his eyes. He's been so patient, even after they accused him of being after Brady's trust fund, which is ridiculous. Justin has his own successful career and has never once asked about the fund. The confrontation happened last weekend. Justin and I sat down with Michelle and Dan to talk about what was going on. It was tense, to say the least. Michelle tried to defend her actions, saying she was just trying to keep Aiden's memory alive. But Justin wasn't having any of it. He told them that undermining our family wouldn't bring Aiden back, and that it was only hurting Brady. Dan, surprisingly, stayed quiet for most of the talk. I think he knew they'd crossed a line, but here's the jaw-dropping moment. Michelle broke down and admitted that she was scared of losing Brady to us. She said that with the adoption finalized, she felt like she was being replaced as a grandmother. It was a mess of tears and apologies, but the damage was done. Justin told them that trust had to be rebuilt, and that they couldn't expect things to go back to how they were overnight. In the midst of all this, Brady's been asking more about Aiden. He's at that age where he's trying to understand where he fits in the family puzzle. I've been doing my best to reassure him that he's loved by so many people, and that having Justin as his papa doesn't mean he's forgetting about his daddy Aiden. Now remember Aiden's sister? She's been an absolute angel. She's been talking to Brady, helping him understand the family dynamics, and reassuring him that it's okay to love Justin as much as he loves his daddy Aiden. She's been a mediator between us and Michelle and Dan, trying to mend fences. But the real kicker came just a few days ago. Dan finally spoke up. He called me, and in a very emotional conversation, he apologized for everything. He said he realized that they were letting their grief dictate their actions, and that it wasn't fair to Brady or to us. He promised to talk to Michelle and work on their behavior. As for Brady, he's been handling all of this like a champ. Kids are resilient, and he's got so much love around him. He's been spending more time with Justin, building model airplanes, and going on bike rides. It's been beautiful to see their bond grow even stronger through all of this. So, that's where we are now. It's been a ride of emotions, and I'm still trying to process everything. Justin and I are taking things one day at a time, focusing on Brady, and making sure he feels secure and loved. As for Michelle and Dan, I'm cautiously optimistic that we can find a way to move forward for Brady's sake. But it's going to take time and a lot of healing. Mom's fury over my tattoo ignites a feud, but a dress at a wedding reveals her secret. The tables are about to turn. I, 19 years old, female, recently got a tattoo on the back of my upper arm, around 6 centimeters in length. For context, I live with my parents and go to university full-time. I also work around 25 hours every week. I don't pay rent, but do use my own money for essentially everything else. To add, this is very normal where I'm from. I know a lot of people on this subreddit are from the United States, where there's a strong push for moving out of the house by 18. But that's practically unheard of here, unless you have rich parents who can support you to do so. You cannot attend university and rent in my city. It's so unaffordable. Basically, I knew my parents didn't like tattoos, but I really wanted one and thought they'd be a little upset, but get over it after a few days. My dad did just that, told me he hates it, then moved on straight away. My mom, on the other hand, reacted horribly. She did not speak to me at all for 2 weeks, like refused to look at me if I tried talking to her. And now, it's been about a month. She's speaking, but does not want me to be around anyone she knows without covering my arm. When people come over to the house, I have to cover my arm. When I go out to local shopping centers where I might run into people she knows, or at a wedding I'm going to soon, I have to cover it. She's saying all this because she's terrified of people gossiping about her. Every time I bring it up, she says stuff like, "I don't want to hear it from everyone. They're all going to talk about it." this is probably partially true. Definitely not to the extent she thinks it's going to be. Literally, no one cares that much about me. But I do come from a super judgmental family who will definitely think it's stupid and make comments about it to me. My mom, for some reason, thinks they'll think she's a bad parent or something. I'm not sure, but she clearly thinks it's on her for some reason. Now, I'm not totally opposed to covering up. However, it is the middle of summer right now, and it's like 36 degrees Celsius almost every day, so it's super impractical. The biggest thing, though, is more about how terrible it makes me feel. I know it's irrational, or whatever, but having to cover up makes me feel like I'm this disgusting person who shouldn't be around people, and I hate it. This tattoo is a part of me, and it's shitty that that part of me is so terrible that I can't let people see it. The people she's trying to impress, all my extended family, are not particularly great people, super discriminatory, super hateful, and I don't respect or care about what they think of me, so I don't care if they talk shit about it. I've kinda stuck to my guns here and told her I'm not doing that, and she's got to accept me for it. However, every single conversation we're having now is just a never-ending argument. I don't know. I don't feel like I'm the jerk. But she keeps saying stuff like, that's the rule when you live with me, although she still would want me to cover up around her family if I did move out. Any external opinion could help. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. You sound Australian. Unless they can magically fix the housing crisis we're under, all the just move out people can frick right off. In any case, her house, her rules doesn't include your bodily autonomy. I would ask her, since the tattoo isn't going anywhere now, is it really worth continuing to fracture your relationship over? Is gossip really worse than making her daughter feel like shoot? Comment 2. Not the idiot. My 18-year-old university student lives with us. We pay her tuition, etc. She also works, but we basically support her. This does not mean I own her body. My only complaint might be that if she can afford to get a sleeve, she can kick in for tuition, or her car insurance, or cell phone, etc. Your mom needs to chill. Who's gossiping about tattoos in 2023? Everyone and their grandma has one. Now for the update. Hey everyone, it's been a week since I last posted about the tattoo drama with my mom, and let me tell you, things have escalated in ways I never expected. I thought I'd give you all an update, because the situation has taken some chaotic turns. So after my last post, I tried to keep the peace at home. I was covering up my tattoo when my mom's friends or our relatives came over, even though it was super hot outside, and it made me feel like I was hiding a part of myself. But then, my cousin's wedding came up, and that's where everything blew up. I decided to wear a dress that didn't cover my tattoo because, honestly, I was tired of feeling ashamed. I thought my mom would be mad, but I didn't expect her to completely lose it. At the wedding, she pulled me aside and started yelling at me in front of some family members. She said I was embarrassing her and that I had no respect for her feelings. It was intense, and a few of our relatives overheard the argument. They started whispering, and I could tell they were talking about us. Now, here's where the backstory comes in. My mom has always been super concerned about what people think of her. When I was younger, she would make me dress in certain ways, or act a certain way in front of her friends, to make sure we appeared like the perfect family. It was exhausting, and I always felt like I couldn't be myself. That's partly why I got the tattoo in the first place. It was something for me, something that represented my independence. After the wedding incident, things at home got worse. My mom started giving me the silent treatment again, and my dad, who had been neutral, was now getting frustrated with both of us. He told me that I should just apologize to keep the peace, but I didn't want to back down. I felt like this was about more than just a tattoo. It was about me being able to make my own choices. Then, 2 days ago, my aunt, my mom's sister, came over to our house. She's one of those relatives who's always stirring up drama, and she loves to gossip. She started talking about the wedding, and how everyone was shocked by my tattoo. My mom was clearly embarrassed, but she didn't say anything. I was getting ready to leave the room when my aunt said something that stopped me in my tracks. She mentioned that my mom used to have a tattoo when she was younger. I was shocked. My mom, who had been so against tattoos, had one herself? I couldn't believe it. I confronted her about it, and after some arguing, she admitted that it was true. She had gotten a tattoo when she was about my age, but she had it removed before I was born because she regretted it and didn't want me to ever find out. This revelation changed everything. I started to see my mom's reaction in a new light. Maybe she wasn't just worried about gossip. Maybe she was trying to protect me from making a decision she thought I'd regret. But instead of talking to me about her experience, she tried to control me. The arguments at home have calmed down a bit since then, but there's still tension. My mom and I haven't fully resolved our issues, but we're talking more. I'm trying to understand her perspective, but I also want her to understand that I'm my own person and that my tattoo is important to me. And here's the juicy twist. Yesterday, I overheard my mom talking to my dad about how she's considering getting another tattoo, something small and discreet, as a way to reconnect with her younger self. I was floored. It seems like this whole situation has made her reflect on her own choices and the way she's been treating me. My teen laughed at our Christmas rules, so I cancelled gifts. They played innocent until the hospital visit revealed their secret party and... The background. I have 3 kids, 2 are in high school and 1 is 12 years old. The 12-year-old got really sick on the 23rd, the eve of Christmas Eve. 103.8 fever, aches, tummy hurt, he just felt lousy. I put him to bed and he stayed there all day on the 24th. By that night, he still was very sick. Normally we open family presents on Christmas Eve, but we decided to wait. My 12-year-old is at that age where I don't think he believes, but he wants to. So after I put him to bed, Santa came, and we all crossed our fingers there would be a Christmas miracle and he would feel better. By Christmas morning, when we normally open Santa presents, he really tried to get up. He took a shower, said he was well enough to go down and see what Santa brought, but took one look at the presents, turned right around and went back upstairs and crawled into bed. I said we would wait to open gifts until he was better, but one of my teens had an attitude about it all day, and tonight my husband said he felt bad that we made the kids wait to open their gifts. Now I'm second-guessing everything. I thought it would be cruel to let the kids open their gifts while their little brother was sick upstairs, but tonight my husband said we should have let them open their gifts. I suppose I could have picked out a couple of gifts for them to open, but I have no idea which gifts are which. Santa wraps everything in red paper, and many of the packages look similar, even though they have the kids' names on them. I have no idea which gifts are which, so it's hard to pick out a couple. I didn't want one kid to open a pair of socks, and another kid to open their big gift. Tonight, my 12-year-old seems to be improving a bit. His fever is now around 102, but he stayed in bed sleeping all day, and I'm just really hoping he's much better tomorrow, the 26th. I didn't think I was asking too much for making the kids wait. It's not like I'll make them wait for days and days, but my husband now thinks that making them wait was wrong. Maybe it was. Edit to add, I've received lots of the same questions. Yes, I have been in contact with his doctor all along. Yes, my husband was involved in the decision to delay gifts. He had a change of heart later. My 12-year-old probably doesn't believe in Santa, but doesn't want the magic to end. This wasn't a question of, am I the idiot, because my kid likes the idea of Santa. Yes, I do have a lot of red wrapping paper, and I wrap the presents so that they all look similar. That is how Santa did it when I grew up. We did not cancel Christmas, just delayed presents. We did special things with the older kids. My decision would have been the same, no matter which kid was sick. My plan was never to make them wait forever. By Christmas night, the big kids knew they would get their gifts on the 26th either way. We opened this morning, and all is well. Fever broke last night, and today, the 26th, the 12-year-old is slowly feeling better. Merry Christmas, I appreciate the perspective. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I think I'm going to go against the grain and say nah, for the most part. I can understand getting caught up in the family traditions of Christmas. It doesn't seem that you did this out of ill intent, and kind of just seems like a lapse in judgment, / not seeing the bigger picture. Yes, you normally open presents together, but if your other children were visibly upset, you probably should have foregone the wait at that point. Comment 2. You're the idiot for prioritizing one kid over the others for all of Christmas Day, not seeking medical care for your kid, not even bothering to try to pick out some gifts for the older kids, etc. Side note, I guarantee your 12-year-old does not believe in Santa. All kids enjoy the excitement of Christmas, including your teens. All you did was take away their excitement because the younger son was sick. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the support on my last post. I wanted to give you an update on the situation since it's been a tense couple of weeks. So, after my last post, things seem to be looking up. My 12-year-old's fever broke, and we thought we were in the clear. We finally opened presents on the 26th, and the kids were thrilled. But then, things took a turn for the worse. The day after we opened gifts, my 12-year-old's fever spiked again, and he was worse than before. We rushed him to the hospital, and it turned out he had a severe infection. He had to stay there for a few days, and it was really scary for all of us. The older kids felt guilty for being upset about the presents, and my husband and I were just worried sick. While my youngest was in the hospital, my oldest, who's 17, decided to throw a secret party at our house. I guess they thought it would be a good distraction or something. It was a disaster. The house was a mess, and one of the neighbors called the cops because of the noise. It was the last thing we needed with everything going on. In the midst of all this, my husband's work started giving him a hard time. He'd taken a few days off to be with our son in the hospital, and his boss was not understanding at all. They even threatened to cut his hours, which we really can't afford right now. But here's where things get really crazy. My middle child, who's 15, has been seeing someone from school. We knew they were close, but we didn't know how serious it was until we found out they'd been sneaking around behind our backs. They were caught by a teacher in a compromising situation at school, and it's turned into a huge ordeal. The school is threatening suspension, and we're just beside ourselves. And if that wasn't enough, my husband and I have been at odds over everything. He thinks I'm too strict with the kids, and I think he's not strict enough. It's been a lot of arguing and tension in the house, which is the last thing our kids need right now. But here's the kicker. Remember how I said all the presents were wrapped in red paper and I couldn't tell them apart? Well, it turns out I mixed up some of the labels. My oldest got a video game meant for my youngest, and my youngest got a book meant for my oldest. It was a complete mix-up, and the kids were pretty upset about it. Now, for the subtle bit of karma, the neighbor who called the cops on my oldest's party. Turns out they were having their own issues. Their son, who's always been a bit of a troublemaker, got caught trying to shoplift, and now they're dealing with their own family drama. It's not that I'm happy about their misfortune, but it's a reminder that every family has its problems. So, that's where we're at. It's been a rough couple of weeks, and I'm just hoping things start to look up soon. My youngest is finally home from the hospital and on the mend, and we're trying to navigate the school situation with my middle child. As for my oldest, they're grounded indefinitely, and we're still trying to sort out the mess with my husband's job. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.